Hello everyone, this is Zatras Writer and you are watching the 5th episode of our programming series featuring Eclipse Software Development Kit. In this video, we will briefly look at some of the Eclipse functions to help developer with their day-to-day programming duties. During previous episodes, you might have noticed that the code completion pop-up contains a bit more than simply functions that you define in a project. Both PHP Eclipse and Aptana editors will, apart from your custom functions, suggest native PHP or JavaScript functions alongside as well. So, for example, if we were to try and autocomplete our PHP age calculation functions, we would not see only the function name itself, but all PHP functions that would start on the letters we typed so far. Each of the native functions has of course a simple description attached as well. Note that even though there are also PHP natives showing up here, our custom defined function will still be displayed on top of the list. Also note that custom functions are graphically distinguished from native ones, which is a very nice feature especially for PHP newbies. Similarly, in Aptana editors you will be able to see built-in JavaScript functions as well. We have already seen the jQuery hint appear when you started typing a jQuery syntax in the previous episode. Apart from this, Aptana will bring up all the functions, both custom and native, that it can find for the letter you type in. As you can see, functions in Aptana editors are sorted simply by name, so there is no difference or knowing whether it's showing a built-in function or a custom one. However, it's unlikely that a good programmer wouldn't recognize a custom function on the first sight, even if they never seen the code before, so I don't consider this much of a disadvantage. The next nifty thing about these editors is that Eclipse will automatically mark your list of to-dos. In case you are unfamiliar with the term, a to-do item is basically a command in code that will tell a programmer what needs to be done with that particular section. Mostly, these are marking unfinished or experimental features and functionalities that need updating, testing or later fixing. When you type to-do into a command, PHP Eclipse and Aptana will both parse such command and display it on both sides next to the opened editor. On the right side, you will see the same rectangle that usually marks errors and warnings, this time in blue color and with a tooltip representing the command text itself. Upon saving, you will also see to-do items marked on the left side with a to-do icon. Also, there is a new tab or view that will list all PHP to-do items in one place for the whole project for you. You can open this view by going to Window menu and selecting Show View Other. From there, the to-do list is located under General section and it's called Tasks. Unfortunately, Aptana editors will not save to-do items inside this list, although you can add them to the list manually by yourself. The only disadvantage of this approach is that you will need to remove the task each time you complete it. However, if you prefer to keep track of your to-dos history, this can very well turn into an advantage for you, as PHP Eclipse will automatically remove the item from the to-do list once you delete it from the comment in your code. Another nice feature of Eclipse itself is history navigation. Maybe you already noticed 4 arrow icons located on the top toolbar. These 4 arrows actually serve a purpose of letting you navigate back and forth between recently visited editors and their lines. For instance, I use this frequently when I close an editor by accident. Instead of searching for the file in recently opened file list, I'll simply click the back button and voila! I get my last opened editor back again. You can use this to navigate through a certain number of editors and lines, for which I haven't found an option in preferences, so I can't tell you how much of this history will remain active at any given moment. Let's now proceed to something even more excitable, a global search. I guess you're probably not very excited about the search at this point, so let me explain what I came to love about this type of search in Eclipse. You will probably know the standard search and replace dialog from many other applications by now, and we already presented Eclipse's native one as well. So you might ask, what makes the global one so special? The answer is its versatility and visual design. To start searching globally, click the part of your project you want to search in. If you click a file, this dialog will not be much more fun than pressing Ctrl F and using the built-in search dialog in Eclipse. Even though you can now see that graphically, this is much more appealing than the built-in dialog, which will make your editor jump up and down as you keep pressing Find Next or Find Previous buttons. the global search dialog will present all instances of the search text in nice results view. You can then double-click any of them to jump directly to the instance found. However, if you use this search when the root project folder is selected, you will be presented by a list of all files that contain your search string as well as list of instances where the text actually appears, along with a sample of the line itself. Furthermore, you can even use regular expressions in case you need to search for some very specific part of a string. For instance, this bad-looking expression will search for all text starting with h in and ending with the letters ds right before an opening bracket. It will allow me to search for functions that contains, for example, the name h in seconds, but it will ignore all functions that would contain h in minutes. We will get into regular expressions in one of the later episodes of this series, so I guess that's all I'm about to explain for this expression at the moment. You can also choose what files you want to look in. Since looking at text up in a JPEG or GIF pictures wouldn't make sense, we have specified to search in PHP files only. It's entirely up to you what files and directories you choose here. As you can see, previously executed searches are stored in short history, so you can come back to them in case you need to switch between few searches for a given project or a set of projects. And even if you're coding in Java, some plugins, like the one for Java, come with extensions to this global search, which will allow you for more granular language-specific searches. Least but not last, you can use the global search dialog to make project-wide text replacements. So if you're coding an HTML project that has a lot of same text in need to be replaced, global search is definitely your champion here. You can even preview all changes prior to making them to make sure nothing goes wrong. Now for the very last feature I wanted to show you today, the irreplaceable local history. At least it's irreplaceable for me when working without any SVN, Git or other remote repository where I would store my code changes. If you enable local history, which can be set up in Eclipse's workspace properties, you will get an automatic snapshot of your files as you edit them. These snapshots are stored in your .metadata folder under your workspace directory and take a variable amount of space. Each of them will allow you to peek into an earlier stage of the file in your project. To check local history for one of your files, simply right-click it and choose Theme, Show Local History. You will be presented by the history view, where you'll see dates of all the snapshots Eclipse made while you've been editing the file. If you double-click one of them, you will first of all be presented by an error in the in-go version of Eclipse. The cause of this remains mystery to me, however you can safely ignore this warning and close it down, since the snapshot will open correctly even with the error present. You can see that our snapshot from the 15th of March looks a bit simpler from what we have in our project at the moment. But let's not compare all these changes side by side like this, although it's still possible to do so, it's not very viable. A much saner strategy is to use a compare tool. If you right-click any of the history snapshots, you can see that it's possible to compare currently clicked snapshot with our actual present state of the code. When you click compare, a diff editor will open up and you will be able to see all the differences marked and summed up for you in a much more enjoyable way. If you needed a piece of code from your local history to be present in your current code again, you can either copy-paste the code to your local contents directly, or go a bit easier way and click the copy from right to left button to copy the whole difference from the snapshot into your local contents automatically. You can even copy all the differences to your local code if you needed to, using the copy all button. The left section, your local code, is basically an extended text editor, so you can do whatever you like in there and save the file afterwards as if you were editing it in a PHP Eclipse or an ordinary text editor. The editor on the right side is a read-only snapshot, so we can't really do anything in it. To browse the changes, you can either normally scroll the editor or use the Next Change, Previous Change buttons on the top right corner. Or you can use the Next Edit, Previous Edit button, which will even highlight and select the differences between those two files. Let me end this episode here, since it's about everything I could think of that made my developer life easier in the past years. I hope this episode helped you improve something in your coding as well. If so, a thumb up is always appreciated. In the next episode, we will look into distributing our code by FTP in preparation for a later episode where we will talk about Subversion, a remote versioning system that is something like a remote local history for your projects. Until that time, have fun coding, guys, and adios!